Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and today on the show we have Francesca Rea. Francesca Rea is a financial advisor who specializes in working with women. And today on the show, we're going to discover that money is much more than numbers on paper, although a lot of us like to ignore those numbers on paper. And we are going to discover the spiritual, the mental relationship with money and how it impacts everything else in our life, and Francesca's unique way to bring your life and lives of many other women back into alignment by getting into more alignment with money. So without any further ado, let's hand it over to Francesca Rea. Francesca Rea, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm so excited to be here today. It's quite a snowstorm outside, so it's nice to be cozy inside with you.
I'm jealous because we have had a deep lack of snowstorms, and I am actually an appreciator of them. But before we get into too much of that passion and that maybe a little tender spot for me at the moment, would you introduce yourself to the audience? Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're showing up in the world today?
I am a senior wealth advisor and prosperity coach. I have been in the business for coming up to 22 years, and I just continue to love life and living my life of divine wealth. I just recently became an author as well. And I'm just very excited to launch this book out to the world and my message and my process in what I do to impact women and their money.
Well, give us a brief overview of the book and your vision for it and why you wrote it.
Well, I'll start with, I describe it as the female version of The Wealthy Barber. If the Americans know what that is, it is a book written by a very famous author here in Canada. So it's the female version of The Wealthy Barber meets Eat, Pray, Love. It is a fiction and nonfiction book of my journey and 8 women journey to a money retreat in Bali. And throughout the story, I weave an 8-step process that I use with my clients and that I've also gone through in my own life and I use today to continue to build my wealth and my life.
Tell us a little bit about what's unique to the struggles of women and money. I think it's something everybody struggles with. I know men think about it all the time, but I'm sure there are some special elements to what's occurring with women that you are speaking to, that you have deep experience in and want to illuminate.
Right. Well, I'll talk about women and then maybe sort of talk a bit about my story as well. Through research, I've discovered that women put money and investing as number 5 on their priority list, where men put it as number 1. We have so many other things that we're dealing with on a day-to-day, family, household, work. And so it's often the last thing that we think about. It is also something that we tend to pass on to our partner to take care of. And I also found like 80% of women will be on their own to deal with finances at some point due to the 3 Ds: death, divorce, or decision. And they're just not stepping up to their own true power and potential that money can have in their life because we hold so many beliefs around money, and usually negative beliefs around money. There's so many things to talk about. And I also went through that on my own journey. So yes, I am a wealth advisor. Yes, I know how to invest and what to do with my money. However, I found in my own journey going through a separation and divorce that there's more to it than that. There's, the masculine structure side of money where whether you budget or save or invest, that's the structure. But then there's a feminine side of money. And it's more of like, how can I receive money and how can I spend money? How can I give money away? Feeling confident in who you are. Believing that everything is happening for you, not to you, to believe that we are ultimate, our birthright is being abundant. And so that was a part of the story that I didn't know anything about until I went through my own journey. So I want to share that with women. And yes, it is for men too. But that's just sort of been my story.
What are some of the either the biggest or most unique to women limiting beliefs about money that are running a lot of the lives of the women that you work with, or at least before you work with them?
Well, you know what? It was also mine as well. It was if I talk about money, I'm greedy or I am boastful. Another story that again was also mine was I can't have that, that unworthiness to have money, to receive money. And a bigger one for a lot of women, it's just, I'm too busy to even consider it, look at it. And probably another one, I'm going to keep adding on. Another one is just, I don't understand the numbers. And therefore, I don't even want to pay attention. So, a lot of women I find have their head in the sand when it comes to that. And I really want them to start feeling confident and value who they are and that they can have whatever it is that they want in their life.
Mm. I'm curious. You've mentioned both a masculine and a feminine side to money, and I've seen this kind of masculine and feminine dynamics play out in many different ways and many different roles. And what I imagine is there are some women who probably over-index on the masculine side of things and the management and the technicality. And I'm sure that that causes like some problems down the line. And then there are others that overemphasize the feminine side of money. And they're like, I'll just be manifesting my magic over here and it'll all work out. And I'm sure that that has its own set of problems. Like, what do the extremes look like? And how do we come into balance?
I was the extreme on the masculine side.
Mm-hmm.
Go, 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 do, list here, list there, full on hours. That gets me to be successful. Just structured and rigid and not able to take time for yourself. Oh my gosh. I have two children and I don't recall ever having time for myself during those periods. And that's the very rigid side, and the detriment is that you're not able to really truly enjoy life, to be present in what's happening. I love flowers, but I never bought myself flowers until I started learning about the feminine side of things because it brings me joy. I started diving into what brings me joy, and wow, that just changes my whole vibration of who I am. And, slowing down was really challenging as well. So for women that are in that masculine structure, just to slow down doesn't mean I'm doing less. It just means I'm getting clearer on my purpose, on what I'm doing, making decisions towards that. And that's the balancing, right, of the two. Whereas you were saying the other side of the feminine is like, yes, I'm going to manifest and I'm not going to have to do anything. And when I get my money, I'm just going to whatever, throw it out there and redo or spend. So for that extreme, it's taking a step back and saying, okay, I need a bit of a structure when money comes in. Where is it going to flow? And having purpose, whether it's purpose accounts, it's my mindful money solution, or creating your blueprint. Does it go towards investing? Does it go towards paying down debt if you have any? So having a bit more of a structure can help balance that extreme as well. And just getting some knowledge and awareness of where is money going is really important as well.
Mm-hmm. And down the line, if like, what problems happen with the feminine extremes? And my guess would be, um, like it works for a while. We're manifesting, maybe things are happening, but then something happens to really set us off course, and all of a sudden we feel very unsafe, very stressed, and trying to access that same magic is very difficult, but it's all we know how to do, which ends up probably leading the head in the sand kind of effect.
Yeah, and I've seen it with a few clients who are on that sort of side where they just would spend money and hope it will continue to amplify, and it can. There's no question that it could possibly be, but there was no backup. There was no purpose to the money when it came in. So for example, would be, a woman was just spending money, going out, having fun, doing all the things that she needs to do to amplify her career and herself. But when the money stopped, there wasn't sort of like an emergency reserve or a trip fund where she wants to take her kids traveling, or so there was no offsetting investment side of it. to help her bridge those small gaps that possibly could be there. I mean, maybe there's always constant flow, and there should be constant flow of money, but it doesn't always happen in real life.
And yeah, we've got to be able to have the balance to protect that feminine magic and that feminine power, and a little bit of structure is really good. And I imagine
Hmm.
maybe there's another element of money in relationship, and even if women are bringing in their own money, the to be able to either speak up about it or have conversations and have the right amount of leadership can be intimidating, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. And especially there's a lot of dynamics that go on between a couple if you're part of a couple, because you come together with your own money beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another piece for women is that we just don't talk about it, right? It's always a taboo of life. Don't talk about money, don't look like you're seeming greedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't have those conversations with our partner. It's usually one takes care of it, the other one's doing something else. But I've got on my website 10 conversation starters you can have together, just to get to know each other again, to see where are they coming from, and what are they doing. How can you come together? And I feel sometimes if you're leaving your spouse or partner to manage the money, you're not living your true purpose of what you want to do with it, right? Because like you said, you're not communicating what your needs and desires are. I have now, since my separation and divorce, tell people to have a we account. So an account where both of you put your money together and have expenses come out of, and have a me account, my own bank account. Because a lot of women come together, merge all the finances like I did, and then through a divorce had to detangle all of that. And it was a bit of a mess to do so. And yeah, having your own money gives you more freedom and gives you more sense of power and queen energy, which is so important in what we need.
In my experience, there is, as I've been growing and developing, there is a spirituality to money that's
Hmm.
reflected in it, and my relationship to it and how I relate to money is how I relate to the feminine in some ways and the rest of the universe. And I'm curious what your perspective in philosophy and the spirituality of money is.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's another thing I've just really started tapping into in the last few years. As I said, I just saw it as a way to invest and grow and get all the things that you want, but it is so much more than that. Like you said, money is energy, money is a tool, and it is used to help us amplify who we are. It is there to um, fulfill our desires. And like, if I want, I don't know, a new set of earbuds, then I'm able to do that. Like, if that makes me and brings joy, there is energy to money, and it's something that I think we've forgotten as a society. We are so mindless when it comes to money. We tap everything. I mean, I don't know about, I'm sure you do in North America, but here in Canada, we love to tap to pay for things. I don't think people hold money in their hands anymore to feel it, to just, what does it feel like to hold $100 bill in their hand? We're just not paying attention to where our money is going. We don't spend any time with our money. There was a study I found that said we spend 14 minutes a week looking at our money, but 15 hours a week worrying about it. And so gone are the days of checkbook balancing, right? That time. You talked about, you treat money like I think you said feminine energy. Well, I call it having a money date again, really getting back into loving your money, spending time with your money. How do you sit down with your bank balances, your investment statements? So I've created that in the book, how to set up a money date. Spend some time once a week, 1 hour, block it in your calendar, clear your desk space, have everything open that you need to, and light a candle, have a glass of wine or a nice cup of tea or coffee, have some nice music on, and just date it like you would a person that you want to love and have in your life.
Amazing. I'm curious about what you think you do that's different, and maybe what you've infused into your book or in your financial practice. What do you believe in, or how do you do things differently that gets your women or anybody you work with results better, faster, easier, or in more alignment?
I take mindset as a component in working with my clients. And again, it's also in the book. I obviously do the strategic wealth planning piece. And again, that's in the book. But more spiritual alignment is also key. And most advisors only focus on one. I incorporate all three because it's so important. And like I said, it's something that I've gone through, that I continue to work through. And it allowed me, as I, was in the middle of writing my book, I realized it allowed me to double my income in 6 months, but I slowed down during that entire time. And when I stepped back and realized what just happened, I'm like, yes, there's no way that I have to hold back on this information and this, system, and it's going to be a lifelong process. So I know I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. It's the impact I want to make with
Wow.
with women.
So I'm curious. This was a big transformation over the course of 6 months. Is this kind of where the book is mostly focused, or I imagine there's like this is not just a 6 month thing for you. This is a lifetime of mastery and understanding, right?
Absolutely. And that actually had happened 2 years prior. I started working with some mindset coaches and doing the work and really diving into more about money, self image. I mean, that was the big piece. I think once I started talking about self image and working through my own self image and gaining confidence in who I was as a human and what I really wanted in my life, that's when things started happening. I was attracting more clients that I wanted. They were larger clients. The book started happening.
Mhm.
Um, I now see myself as an author. If you'd asked me a year ago, I'd be like, yeah, no. But just doing the work of really truly diving into what brings me joy, what do I see and vision in my life,
Mhm.
has attracted a lot of really neat things.
Did you see yourself as an author before your book was published or released, or only after? I'm curious. When people really start to draw the line or claim that title.
For me, it was during the entire process because I
Hmm.
still had a lot of limiting beliefs that I was carrying. Afraid to be seen and heard. Like it was hard for me to write this book. It's part my true story. And I was afraid that people were going to say things, or even just like my clients, what are they going to say? Now she's written a book. And so I had a lot of my own limiting beliefs to sift through and get through, and just be confident in knowing that this is meant to be and meant for the world and will continue on to be my legacy.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about a moment in your life. Maybe this is showcased in your book, maybe not, but I want something very specific in time and space. A Tuesday afternoon, and the specific room you were in and the thoughts that were going through your head when you were at your most extreme masculine energy, not being able to be present, not being able to have time for yourself or enjoy life, no flowers. Slowing down seemed like an impossible challenge. And
Hmm.
yeah, you were worried about money and probably worried about a lot of other things.
I see a bunch of different scenarios, different times. I'm probably going to just mumble jumble them all into one. So when my kids were younger, and my busiest time of the year is RSP season, so January and February. So definitely February, working long days, long hours. This was before COVID, and just being exhausted at the end of the day. Just a hustle, right? Just a hustle
Hmm.
to make money and a hustle to see clients and a hustle to do what I have to do. Um, and hardly seeing my children. Yeah, I don't even think I exercise. I don't think I don't think I did. That's all my friends. Yeah, so it's more of a specific time every year.
How about what's something, do you remember like an interaction, maybe something one of your kids said to you, or a way they looked at you, or just one of these moments where like something happened that you felt out of integrity with your children that you saw reflected in your children?
Well, I think I don't know. I didn't talk about this, but then there's a separation and divorce that happened where um, that's the premise of my book.
Hmm.
So my ex-husband had an affair, and I found out and kicked him out of the house. I feel that that was a time I think where my children um, just didn't understand what was happening and feeling responsible for the separation or the dissolution of the marriage.
Mm-hmm. What judgments did you have about yourself in discovering this affair?
God, there was a lot. At the time, yes, I probably blamed myself for
Mm-hmm.
that. But over the course of a couple of years, realizing, yes, I had a part to play in the marriage, but there's two people in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So I take responsibility for my part. And yes, part of that was the go, 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 the not being there, the not paying attention, the not being present. But yeah, then the partner is also responsible for that as well. So that was the piece that I cleaned up a lot, like you're saying. Yeah.
Of
Slowing
course.
down, getting present. When I have my kids, I'm with my kids as much as I can be, doing what they need. Yeah.
Let's see what else about this. Um, when did you decide something needed to change? Like, how did you, or when was the conclusion of like, I really need to take my life in a different direction, and how did you get to this?
There's 2 points that stand out for me.
Mm-hmm.
One was I found out about my ex, had kicked him out, but I was still reeling through, am I doing the right thing? I don't never want to live a life of regret.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to fix it. And it finally came to the point after about a year when I said, I'm done. Like that was the turning point for me. It was like, I'm done with this relationship. I need to move on. And the second part that really got me into the world of mindset was a woman did a free master class during COVID. And she said, we as women sabotage ourselves all the time and not getting what we want. And I had done that, the very thing that morning. I sabotaged myself with something, and then I was hooked. I haven't looked back on working with mindset coaches and continuing to grow and expand who I am and what I want. And yeah, we sabotage ourselves a lot.
What did
Without
that
noticing.
particular sabotage that morning look like? If you're able to share.
I was dating a gentleman, and I was telling my girlfriend that morning, I don't know why he likes me. He's so smart, he's well traveled, well educated, he has lots of money, he's a CEO of a company. Why would he want to be with me? And when she said the word sabotage, I'm like, holy crap, I just sabotaged myself. Of course he'd want to be with me. I am awesome and I'm a wonderful person. It doesn't matter, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
what he's got going on. This is who I am. And so yeah, that was what had happened. But then just even looking back on my own life, there's many opportunities or times where I sabotage myself. And sometimes I find I do that once in a while, but I catch myself really quickly now and
I
change gears. Yeah.
yeah, I I've done some sabotaging myself recently, and have been doing a lot of integrating, which is delightful. We love it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about this time. You said it allowed me to double my income, but slow down in 6 months. So at the end of these 6 months, where were you? You were slowed down and you realized, wow, I can't believe how far I've come. What triggered this noticing?
Just looking, I had a goal and I was tracking money that was coming in, which I hadn't done before. I was tracking my successes and celebrating them, which I hadn't done before. I got really deep into visualizing what I wanted, who I wanted to work with. And instead of the typical scenario of going in and doing webinars or classes or asking people for referrals, people were coming to me. Like I was getting referrals left, right, and center. And I was like, okay, this is the way it should be. It should be easy. I shouldn't have to work hard to bring new clients to my practice. So that was the slowing down, right? Just not having to do, but to allow and receive and be very clear in my intention. Setting intentions every day was another thing I started doing. So I was really creating a lot of good habits and being more calm in the
Mm-hmm.
day. Many days I was overwhelmed, frustrated, spinning, like, oh, yeah, yeah. These days I'm a lot calmer and
Yeah,
quieter, reflective and intentional than I'd ever been in the past. Yeah.
excellent. Are you ready to hear your story?
Sure.
My relationship with money, be it good or bad, has impacted every aspect of my life. I remember not too long ago that the way I was managing my money was the way I was managing the rest of my life, with tight grip. I was working full hours. In February, I would leave before the sun rose, and I would get home long after the sun set. I would come home to my 2 children, wanting to connect and be there, but feeling so exhausted and seeing their exhaustion and confusion reflected back. It wasn't just the hard work that I was doing, but I was exhausted dealing with a separation of finances, a separation of love, a separation of family, of home, all of the judgments that I had on myself, that I brought this on. I was so frustrated, and I felt so very alone. I wasn't taking care of myself in any kind of way, and I blamed myself for everything that was going wrong. And I thought of all of the limiting beliefs that I had that would put me here. I couldn't talk about money. I was greedy. I couldn't have anything better. This is exactly what I deserved because I was unworthy. I was too busy to look at anything, to change anything. And even though I worked in money all of the time, it was the last thing I wanted to pay attention to. And I can remember coming home just after one too many nights of that, seeing the way that I was constantly sabotaging myself and realizing that there was so much more to money than just numbers, and something needed to change. I wanted my relationship with money to be founded in my mindset first. It wasn't just about how much was in my bank, but how I saw what it was used for and how I saw what I was worthy of. I wanted to have a strategy, so when things were good, I could prepare for when things were tough. And when things were tough, I could feel safe and just deal with the rest of the life, which is plenty hard enough, even without money problems. And I wanted my money to reflect my spiritual alignment with the world, my purpose that I was serving. And I started to revisit everything I knew and everything that I thought and everything that I did with my own money. And over the course of a few years and a lot of costly and painful mistakes, I found my way through a transformation. I was able to double my income, but also be slowing down. I was able to attract and magnetize the right clients with my feminine power, but also have a strategy to manage that in a way that allowed me to be present with myself, with my kids, and with the rest of my life. Waking up every day, tracking what money was coming in, tracking and celebrating my successes, visualizing what I wanted, and seeing it come to pass. And I can remember one of these mornings, once again, setting my intention and celebrating myself, that I realized how far I had come. You know, for me, it was the pain of long hours and a separation that finally woke me up to taking responsibility for money and taking responsibility for the rest of my life with it. For you, it could be a tough job. For you, it could be within your relationship, or even just the ever-changing and challenging relationship with yourself. But one thing's for sure, is that I believe money and understanding money and being able to channel it in the way that you want is the way to come into alignment with the rest of your life. And that's what I'm going to teach you in my book. And that's how I work with women every day in my practice, not just to help you make more, not just to plan a retirement, but to plan the life that you want to live and create the space for you to be present and create the power for you to be you.
Beautiful.
My honor. I feel it as well.
I didn't think I was going to cry. That's really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being seen. And I'm certain that this book in your practice is going to help so many more women who are feeling this way too and who need it. That's a part of healing the world.
Absolutely.
And so, Francesca, where can we go to get your book and learn more about you? And do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
You can find me at francescarea.com. And the book Divine Wealth is on Amazon, ebook as well as print copy, and audio coming soon. And my last and final thought is you do not need permission to be financially powerful. You just need to remember who you are and who you've always been, a queen.
Beautiful. Francesca Rea, thank you for sharing your truth with us today on the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you, Kyle. It's beautiful. Amazing.